years for them to build back not nearly what they have right now, and I guess that's another theory, but we want to have it ended so that another president doesn't have, look, for 47 years, no president was willing to do what I'm doing, and they should have done it a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier. There's no president that wanted to do it, and yet every president knew. I've spoken to a certain president, who I like actually, a past president, former president. He said, I wish I did it. I wish I did, but they didn't do it. I'm doing it, yeah. I can't tell you that. I don't want to embarrass him. It would be very bad for his career, even though he's got no career left. Go ahead, please.
You mentioned.
How about the new man?
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, you mentioned that you're not entirely sure who you're dealing with, who the leadership is in Iran. Do you see a viable opposition movement still in that country following all of the protests that we had seen before the airstrikes and kind of an opposition movement that could become a viable leader in Iran?
The biggest problem, and you know, we have brave people in this room, but the biggest problem that I see is that, you know, they put out a warning, and we have the warning. We get everything they get. And it said any protester that goes onto the street will be immediately shot and killed. And this is a little tougher than the American way. This is not quite as tough as, nobody can believe it. So I can't imagine, they don't have guns. And the other ones have guns. Highly sophisticated machine guns and AK-47s and other kinds of guns. And they did that with the women. So the women had 250,000, even 500 people protesting a year ago. And they shot women right through the middle of the forehead with snipers. And they didn't have to do many. About 10 went down bleeding profusely. And 250 to 500,000 women went running in the other direction. Because they can be brave, but they're not stupid. And they have no gun, and you have snipers in buildings specifically for this reason. So a woman goes down falling, bleeding from the head, and it doesn't take long for that to spread. And when that spreads, that crowd dispenses. And nobody else has been able to do that to the extent that these people are violent. They killed a minimum 2 weeks ago, 32,000 people. So, and they put out actually a notice 2 days ago. If you protest, you will be shot and killed. So, I don't know. I would say Mike Johnson's the only person I know who has the courage to go out in that kind of an atmosphere. I don't think so. Yeah.
Have your advisors told you anything in terms of how long we can expect gas prices as high as they are right now?
I don't need advisors to tell me that. I know what it is. You know, the Prime Minister of UK, United Kingdom, yesterday told me, I'm meeting with my team to make a determination. I said, you don't need to meet it with the team. You're the Prime Minister. You can make your own. Why do you have to meet with your team to find out whether or not you're going to send some minesweepers to us or to send some boats? I said, you don't have to meet with your team. It's the same thing here. I can tell you that when this is over, oil prices are going to go down very, very rapidly. So is inflation, so is everything else. But frankly, much more important than short-term, even long-term oil prices, you can't let the most violent, vicious country in the last 50 years have a nuclear weapon. Because the Middle East will be gone, Israel will go first, without question, and they'll certainly take a shot at us before we get our act together and say we got to take them out. You can't let Iran, who's truly a nation of great terror and power. Look what happened in the last 2 weeks. They weren't supposed to go after all these other countries in the Middle East. Those missiles were set to go after them. So they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked. And the other one, you know, they fought back. They could have yielded. But think of it, if we weren't around, they have tremendous power. They had thousands of missiles, most of which we've terminated. They had thousands of drones. They were making drones and missiles all over the place. We've knocked out most of those factories. I mean, now they're sending out 2 or 3 missiles. Now, you know, they've still got some. They might have 8% left. But mostly they've been eliminated. They've been terminated by what we did and what Israel did too. Yeah, please.
Israel is expected to expand its ground offensive in southern Lebanon to go after Hezbollah. Have you discussed that with Israeli leaders?
Yeah.
And does the United States support a potential Israeli invasion of Lebanon?
Yeah, no, I did, and I know that. Look, Hezbollah is a problem. It's been a problem for a long time, not just now. And it's a certain area, because I was with the other night a person whose parents live in Lebanon. This is a very substantial person, wealthy person, whose parents live in Lebanon. I said, really? How do you live in Lebanon? Your parents are living? Oh yeah, they live there. And over the years, they've gotten used to the fact that it's being bombed. But they explained to me that it's really a different section of Lebanon. It's the section where Hezbollah is. And they get used to it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, people live in Ukraine. You would think they wouldn't live in Ukraine, but they live in Ukraine. I don't know that I'd do that, but they live in Ukraine. They live in Lebanon. Hezbollah is a big problem, and they're rapidly being eliminated. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it.
President Trump there talking for about an hour as his board of the Kennedy Center convenes. They're in the East Room of the White House. A lot of news about Iran and the campaign going on there, including the president saying that other countries are stepping up to say that they will help in keeping the Straits of Hormuz open. Though, Sandra, lamenting that a lot of our most staunch allies have not enthusiastically jumped into the fray there. Britain saying that it might be able to provide an aircraft carrier or two, and President Trump saying we don't need it now, we needed it weeks ago.
Yeah, I think he gave an 8 out of 10 rating on his discussions with the French President Macron on the Strait of Hormuz. I found it interesting. He said, I think we're going to get it going very soon. Obviously, that would be big news. Iran's new supreme leader, he said people are saying he's been hurt. Others saying he's dead. Still finding it very unusual, he said, that they haven't seen him on the war overall. President Trump saying they want to make a deal, John.
You know, and the way that this really affects Americans is the Strait of Hormuz, first and foremost, because I don't know if you've gone by the gas station in recent days, but I saw gas for $3.79 a gallon for regular. Premium is up to about $4.70 a gallon, and diesel now I saw for $5.39 a gallon yesterday. So there's a lot of people in America who are getting a little anxious about where the price of gas is going. The president is doing what he can to get the price of a barrel of oil back down.
Not to mention, this is historically the time of year prices start to go up summer as we enter summer driving season and people hit the road to take spring break trips. So it's sort of a double whammy as those prices keep going higher right now, John. Meanwhile, as you just heard from the president, U.S. forces devastating Iran's air capabilities with one-way drone attacks from the nation, now down 95%. That incredible new video from U.S. Central Command showing flight operations from USS Abraham Lincoln. Admiral Brad Cooper highlighting the success of U.S. strikes earlier.
Here's a photo taken of an attack drone production factory in Tehran on March 5th. Here's that same factory 6 days later after a devastating barrage of U.S. airstrikes. And finally, the Yazdi military depot, pictured here last month. These 8 buildings are part of the IRGC's missile command infrastructure and are used to produce light and heavyweight torpedoes. Now, here's that same military depot just last week, or what's left of it.
That was Admiral Cooper. We begin with Lucas Thomas now. He has the very latest from Dubai. That new video from U.S. Central Command, just incredibly compelling video.
That's right. Good afternoon, Sandra. Not too subtle message there from U.S. Central Command and its leader, Admiral Brad Cooper, after Iran has made multiple claims that the Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier, has been sunk. So now we see that new video showing some of those F-18 Super Hornets and F-35 stealth fighter jets launching from the strike group from the aircraft carrier to launch strikes into Iran. And we heard a battlefield update from President Trump expanding what Admiral Cooper said. President Trump says that U.S. forces have launched more than 7,000 strikes on Iran in this war that is now stretching into its third week. We also heard the president provide an intelligence assessment of Iran's new supreme leader, Mustafa Khamenei. Our own Peter Doocy asked the president what he thought about the new supreme leader, whether he was, what his status was, whether he's dead or alive. And President Trump was pretty frank. He said, we don't know if he is dead or not. He said he also could be very wounded. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is a big focus of the press conference, and really this war right now. The United States and many other countries want to see the Strait of Hormuz reopen. Many are thinking that Iran is holding the strait hostage right now, and the Ayatollah and the leaders in Iran want to keep the price of oil high to put pressure on the Trump administration. Perhaps President Trump returning the favor by launching these strikes at Harg Island, a major choke point for the Iranians, because they ship 96% of their oil from that small island in the northern Persian Gulf. And we're now, perhaps President Trump wanting to up the ante even more, possible ground forces to invade the island. Those would come right now in the form of these 2,500 Marines aboard the USS Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group, currently making best speed from the Pacific to here in the Middle East. They're about a week away, guys. Now, in addition to the ground forces on board, you have a pretty formidable aviation component. 5th generation stealth fighter jets, Ospreys, Super Stallions, and Vipers. Those are helicopter gunships that the Marines fly. Now, over the weekend, Iran's foreign minister claiming his forces are only striking American bases here in the region.
We are only targeting American assets, American installations, American military bases. Everything belongs to Americans. And this is a fact that they are using their soil.
Now, after a relatively quiet day here in the UAE yesterday, Iran turning up the volume today, firing 6 ballistic missiles and 21 drones here. Some hit a fuel tank at nearby Dubai International Airport, grounding all flights and causing others to divert. The airport has since reopened under a reduced schedule. An Iranian missile also killed a Palestinian national in Abu Dhabi today, about an hour from here, according to authorities. And for the second time in 2 days, Iran struck the Fujairah oil complex near the Strait of Hormuz, used by the UAE to bypass the strait and ship all oil overland to Oman. And continued drone and missile attacks over the weekend in nearby Saudi Arabia and Bahrain led Formula One to cancel the Bahrainian and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which have been scheduled for next month. And leaders here in the UAE have expressed ire over Iran's continued attacks on this country and others in the region.
It's been pretty unprecedented what's happened, and almost unhinged, I would say, to have Iran lash out at the very people who've been calling for de-escalation.
Now, here in Dubai, it's not just a financial capital, it's a tourist mecca as well. Thousands flock here every year, but right now, 16 hotels are effectively closed, and some of the occupancy in the hotels is down to 7%. Sean and Sandra.
Is just hard to believe. Lucas Tomlinson there live on all of that for us. Lucas, thank you. John.
All right, let's dig deeper on all this by bringing in a retired 2-star Marine Corps General, Arnold Punaro. He's also the CEO of the Punaro Group. General, great to have you with us. The Strait of Hormuz, really for Americans and their wallets, really is topic number one here. The president saying that he's trying to get customers of Persian Gulf countries and their oil to join in the fight to keep the Straits of Hormuz open. He put this out of Trump Truth Social. He said the countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage, and we will help a lot. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries so that everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. This should have always been a team effort, and now it will be. It will bring the world together toward harmony, security, and everlasting peace. The U.S. military so far has been reluctant to begin escorting ships through the strait, knowing that they're probably still vulnerable to some degree to Iranian attack. How could a coalition help keep that strait open?
Well, John, great to be with you. And I would say the president just gave a comprehensive and compelling bomb damage assessment of what our military, with our Israeli partners, have been able to do in just 16 days. Military capability that Iran has built up over 47 years. degraded their conventional capability, their nuclear ambitions, their factories, their drone factories, all the things that they're working on, but we're not at zero, even though they've made great progress, and we need to have our military continue to work against those target sets. We've learned the hard way over the years that if you stop short, you have to go back in. The president is not going to do that. But he was very right when he also talked in that same press conference about being cautious about the Straits of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. And he talked about what one mine can do, and we have experience in the first Gulf War when a $25 World War II mine disabled one of our most capable nuclear-powered destroyers of $2 billion and did about $1 billion worth of damage. And so right now we're going to have to be a little patient and, frankly, a little bit of a sacrifice at the pump for a brief period to keep Iran from using a nuclear weapon, as the president said they would against Israel. They'd also launched one in lower Manhattan and killed close to 1 million people. The same thing in the nation's capital, and that would drive our country into an economic depression worse than the Great Depression. And so the economics here are compelling to be able to reduce this threat that Iran has, particularly on the nuclear front. So our military is doing a superb job, but they're not done yet.
Yeah, you can only imagine what leaving Iran untethered for a decade might do in terms of increasing our risk. You're a Marine Corps through and through. There's 2,200 Marines aboard the USS Tripoli steaming to the region. What do you expect their task will be?
Well, John, that's the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit Special Operations Capable, and that's a reinforced infantry battalion, riflemen. They have the vertical takeoff and landing Joint Strike Fighter. They have attack helicopters. They have utility helicopters. And they're trained, and they train for months and months and months for these deployments on a 3-ship amphibious ready group, and they can operate from the sea, logistical support for up to 2 weeks independently. They can do direct action. They can seize things. They can do in extremis hostage rescue if we have to bring people out. They can go in and hold territory, etc. So there's an extreme versatile ability. I want to reassure people, and I know the president has as well, and as has our military, we're not going to do a ground invasion of Iran. That was one of the most difficult scenarios that we ever had in any of our contingency plans. And as capable as the 31st MUSOC is, that's not a ground invasion force, but they have a tremendous direct action capability if the commander-in-chief and our military deems that they need it.
There's also a lot of talk about whether the president might eventually send the Marines in to take control of Karg Island, which would really put the squeeze on Iran in terms of their oil exports. General, good to talk with you. Thanks for kicking us off today. Appreciate it.
Right. Anytime. Thank you.
All right, Sandra.
Okay, union leaders representing TSA workers speaking moments ago, calling for an end to the Democrat-led government shutdown. Meanwhile, travelers facing long and longer lines as a TSA staffing shortage collides with a major winter storm. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has the latest from Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Grady, I cannot believe some of the pictures we are seeing of airport lines all over the country.
Yes, Sandra, and it's a 1-2 punch here at O'Hare and other airports that are dealing with the partial government shutdown combined with the bad weather. Take a look behind me. This is the security line here. I don't think the wait time is as bad as some of the airports that you mentioned, but this is still a pretty sizable line that's coming out all the way into the terminal area here. And take a look at this video from Austin. Same situation as we saw on Friday. The security line stretching all the way outside the terminal. The airport at one point urging passengers to show up 2.5 hours before their flights, though it says that the TSA checkpoint wait times are back to normal. The airlines say they are fed up with being used as a political football in policy fights out of D.C., and so their CEOs are signing an open letter to Congress calling for lawmakers to fund the Department of Homeland Security immediately. They write, it's past time for the government to make sure that TSA officers, U.S. Customs Clearance officers at airports, and air traffic controllers are paid for the job they do. And then, of course, Sandra, we mentioned the bad weather. We're looking at more than 10,000 delays and cancellations combined across the country today.
Thanks, so Democrats, what you're doing, destroying our airline system.
Situation worse. Sandra?
Unbelievable. Grady Trimble on all of that for us. Grady, thank you.
The Democrats ultimately are more obsessed with defunding ICE than they are protecting the American people. This is part and parcel of Trump arrangement syndrome. We should be funding the Department of Homeland Security at this moment. The risk is certainly heightened. The Democrats are playing petty politics about it.
Federal officials warning that the terror threat has risen to levels not seen in decades after 4 attacks across the country just since March 1st alone. Let's bring in former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove. He's also a Fox News contributor. Good to see you, Karl. You look at those airport lines under this shutdown and you say, I mean, we got to do something about this. The American public is extremely frustrated with what is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, shutdowns are losers for anybody who is provoking a shutdown. This is a big loser, in my opinion, for Democrats. People don't like seeing those long lines. There's been no compelling case made by the Democrats as to why the reforms that they are suggesting are so essential. The public is focused on those pictures, and they're focused on the stories they're hearing from people who are going through that process, and they're also concerned, and will be increasingly concerned, about what would happen to our country if, at our borders or inside the United States, Homeland Security was not able to meet its responsibility. Message to the Democrats: find yourself an off-ramp, and events are about ready to give you a very good off-ramp that will allow you to get out of this hole and yet even turn this argument on your behalf into something that's durable and might have an impact on the election. But if they keep doing what they're doing, this is a problem.
You can't help but think maybe it would help if some of the members of Congress actually felt the pain that the American public is feeling when they go to the airport, for example. In fact, this is the Wall Street Journal. I'll give you guys a second to work that out. You can throw this header up on the screen. Put Chuck Schumer on TSA duty. The only solution for today's crazy TSA lines is for Schumer to find the Department of Homeland Security. If he won't, maybe he ought to go down to JFK Airport, put on a uniform, and help. While he's there, he can offer apologies to the public in person. I can hear Karl says he does not have audio right now, so we'll try to reestablish connection with him. As I look at this Chicago Airport line, I also note that Jason Chaffetz, the former Utah congressman, tweeted out earlier, maybe we should also stop ushering members of Congress to the front of the airport lines and let them experience this themselves. All right, Karl, you're back. The suggestion is maybe Congress should feel a little bit of this pain themselves.
Well, they're going to hear the pain from their constituents, and it's just idiotic. Look, think about this. They're about ready to have a hearing on the new Secretary of DHS, Mullen, of one of their colleagues, Senator. This is the moment where Democrats could say, look, Secretary-designate Mullen, will you promise us here today in this hearing that you will sit down and in good faith discuss with us the reforms that we're talking about? And he'll say, of course, yes, I will. Then they can allow the vote to go forward. They can scream and shout about all the abuses that they think have happened under the DHS leadership of Secretary Noem. But then the department gets funded, and then it's up to Mullen to negotiate with them in good faith. And if he doesn't, then they've got an issue for the campaign saying, here's some reasonable things we asked for, and we can't get the new secretary to deal with it. On the other hand, they could deal with them, and he might be able to say, well, I can't give you that or that, but I can give you this and this, and they can actually come to an agreement. That's called governing. That's called compromise. And that's what the American people want. They do not want the Democrats to be shutting down the Department of Homeland Security over reasons that they can't really explain and haven't made an effort to lay out to the American people.
Whether or not there's an end in sight, that's what everybody's wondering right now. Karl Rove, really appreciate your time. I'm glad we got that hiccup worked out. Thank you so much, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
John?
Sandra, breaking moments ago, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles announcing she is battling early-stage breast cancer. Dr. Nicole Sapphire, Sloan Kettering, is here.
Plus, President Trump calling for a coalition to keep oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz. National security and military analyst Rebecca Grant is here on that.
Moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep you out of the picture. Now, there's Skyrizi.
I've got places to go and I'm feeling free. Controlling my symptoms means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Get back in the picture. Skyrizi is proven to help deliver relief, repair, and remission. Feel significant symptom relief as early as 4 weeks. Skyrizi is proven to help visibly repair damage of the intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year, and help people achieve lasting remission.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or UC.
Ready to get back in the picture with Skyrizi? Ask your doctor about the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and UC combined. The human brain is truly...
Urge the other nations to get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm. This is a paper tiger that we're dealing with now. It wasn't a paper tiger 2 weeks ago. It's a paper tiger now.
It's a paper tiger, but it's still got the possibility of attacking some of those big oil tankers that are really sitting ducks out there in the Straits. So what about the Allies pitching in?
Yes, well, get ready for cleanup in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump's already done the #1 task, taking out most of the Iranian Navy. Now he's on the phone to the Allies, and here's what they can send. Destroyers, P-8 maritime surveillance planes, a lot of our allies have those. What we need is maritime surveillance and then the ability to get after any lingering drones or anti-ship cruise missiles along that shoreline. This needs to be an allied operation led, of course, by the U.S. Navy, and I'm telling you, those shippers are just waiting for Central Command to come up with the plan.
And so President Trump said a short time ago that in terms of Iran's capability to retaliate or actually strike out, that their ballistic missiles are down more than 90%. Their drones are down about 95%, which raises the question, how much do they actually have left, do you think?
Well, that is a really excellent question, and that's what Central Command has to get after now. They have to look and see where the rest of these launches are coming from, if they've missed any storage facilities or factories. But they are almost down to zero. Now, it's still a combat zone, so you can't ever say there won't be any drone launches or any missile launches, but there's no question we have complete air dominance, and that's what makes a policing and cleanup operation in the Strait possible at this point.
All right, so Iran may lose the capability to attack its neighbors in the region, threaten U.S. ships. I mean, it can't threaten our aircraft, as you pointed out a short time ago, but it still has got plenty of munitions to put down dissent within the country. So in terms of the regime backing off, laying down its weapons, saying we surrender, and President Trump wants an unconditional surrender, how far away are we from that?
Well, to me, unconditional surrender is really about the military objective, and this is what Operation Epic Fury has been about all along, is getting rid of Iran's military capability. And President Trump said it so well, they can't have a nuclear weapon. They were ready to use their missiles against their neighbors. They would hit us if they can. So to me, unconditional surrender is getting that military capability.
You heard the president say that Mojtaba Khamenei, nobody knows if he's even alive. So who's running the country? Larijani?
Right, hard to say. And I'm going to tell you again, so whatever weirdo government we end up with in Iran, we've got to make sure the military piece is down. And our forces will continue to work in the Strait for a while, but we've got complete air dominance. We need to take out all the rest of the targets that could be a threat. For a good government in Iran, there will be sanctions relief, and that should be a big incentive to come forward, account for the nuclear fuel, and get on a better path.
But the people who have a vested interest in continuing the theocracy, though, they first have to be turned one way or another, I guess.
Right, right.
Good to see you, Rebecca. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sandra?
All right, John, a powerful blizzard bearing down on the Midwest, and it just might be the start of potentially dangerous weather to slam most of the country. We're going to take a walk over to the Fox Weather Center. That will be all new at 2.
This is
hurricane force winds. Robert Ray is in the middle of all of it as the storm reaches its peak. He is live in Marquette, Michigan for us. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Sandra, yes, welcome to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. As blowing snow and 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts are occurring, and we could see up to 75 mile an hour hurricane force winds. This has been going on for over 24 hours. At this point, we have well over 2 feet of snow here on Lake Superior, with the potential for up to 4 feet of snow, as all of this will dissipate at some point tomorrow. Now, wrap your head around that. 48 hours of extreme winter weather up here. Historic. Green Bay to the south also getting a lot of snow in one day. Their historic fall, and you see vehicles trying to move their way through these areas. Roadways are compromised because of the amount of snow, and snow drifts. Lake Superior with 20 to 30 foot waves causing ice sheets to literally wave into the shore and break apart existing ice there. Now, power outages, over 130,000 customers in the state of Michigan, and this is just continuing. It's snarling travel and making a mess of the UP, Wisconsin, and so many other areas. Sandra?
Okay,
John?
Robert, you be careful out there. Marquette, Michigan, the snow's coming down. It's cold, and I'm amazed to see people are trying to get out on the roads right now. Be careful. Robert, thank you very much. John, a little scary there with
Yeah, stand in the middle of the road, Robert.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, you take a look at what it's like there in Michigan. Here in the East Coast, it's almost 70 degrees here. So we're not going to get any of the snow that they've gotten there, but it's coming through in narrow band strips of very, very energetic weather. I was talking to my kids who got off school early today because of the weather and the potential for tornadoes in our area. And the streets were perfectly dry here in Washington, D.C., but just west of the city, they said it was pouring rain. So the weather's going to be very variable this afternoon, so be careful.
Yeah.
Stay out of the streets.
Some of the pictures, yeah, exactly. Some of the pictures coming out of the Great Lakes region, so wow. I mean, they're getting pummeled yet again, and here we are. It's the middle of March, and I think a lot of folks are ready to be done with the snow.
Yeah, March kind of came in like a lamb and going like a lion right now. Beware the Ides of March, they say. Hey, a senior member of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett security team dying after a shootout with police in Dallas. How did someone with a lengthy rap sheet end up on her security team in the first place?
Hey, folks, it's your friend.